So, Namaste, Suprabhatam. The purpose we are meeting today is to celebrate Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is a very, very important day for all of us. It is the Jayanti of Sage Veda Vyasa. Sage Veda Vyasa is uh, the one connecting point of all the acharyas, if I have to say in very simple terms, because Vedavyasa Maharishi is the person who actually compiled the Vedas the way it is today. So if you just think about it, Vid means jnanam or knowledge, and Vedas are, you know, the universal knowledge, everything that we see here. So he was the one who compiled it and gave it the shape of, okay, these can be grouped as the Rig Veda or Yajurveda. So he basically gave us something in simple, digestible forms because till the Dwapara Yuga, it was all like, open to everything. And then because we cannot handle it, in this Yuga, in this age, even these Vedas are not easy for us to, even have a glimpse of. So that yeoman service was done by Sage Veda Vyasa. So today, if we look at any acharyas across any philosophy, so if you take Dvaita Acharya, he would have based his explanation on Veda Vyasa's detailing of Brahma Sutras and other things. If you speak about Sri Vaishnava Acharyas, like Bhagavad Ramanuja, etc., their Sri Bhashya will also go to Veda Vyasa. In fact, Goddess Saraswati says that, these will be in line with Veda Vyasa's thinking, and that was the best compliment she could give to Bhagavad Ramanuja. That's what they say. And Sri Adi Shankara, all the way, explains, goes to Veda Vyasa. So the idea is when we celebrate the Veda Vyasa's Jayanti, we celebrate starting from our Acharya all the way to Veda Vyasa, and we also connect to Veda Vyasa and above him. So usually people say like he's like the middle person who connects to the acharyas prior to him, who also connects us to the acharya who come after him. So by celebrating him, it is our gratitude to the entire Guru Parampara that is shown. So it is a very, very important thing. In fact, this was like the Teachers' Day celebration that we currently have, where students show gratitude to teachers. But this is not just that. This is about the Guru Parampara, where we acknowledge the greatness of the person, the seer who gave us the Vedas compilation as it is today. He gave us the entire Mahabharatam. Think about it, 100,000 slokas was given in the form of Mahabharatam by Vedavyasa for us. Not just that, he gave Puranas to us. And all the Sishyas after that who added some of their works were too shy to name themselves after their work because they, had so much of gratitude to Sage Vedavyasa that they preferred to identify themselves as Vedavyasa Shishyas. So they did not even want their name to come on the limelight, that even their works are named as Vyasa Prasadat. So you might see a lot of work which is named as Vyasa, but would have been written by his disciples because they did not want to have an independent identity outside of Veda Vyasa. That was a very different mindset that we can see. Okay. So with all this, today is a day where we at least remember Sage Veda Vyasa for all what he's done, because whatever we have today can be rolled back to Sage Veda Vyasa. So our plan of action today is we will learn some Taniyan or some small two-liner slokas about Sage Veda Vyasa, and then we will learn what's called as the Guru Ashtakam, which was Sage Adi Shankara's worship about his Guru. And we can apply it to our respective gurus. It is Ashtakam, which is a couplet of 8 slokas. So we will learn that with a very overall meaning, a general meaning we will learn. There are a lot of nuances in that also, but we will get to feel it and we will recite it. That's our plan of action for today. Right? I had already sent the slokas. If you all want to have access to it, it will be easier that way because those who are looking for a phone may not be able to see it clearly. That's why I had sent it in the PDF yesterday. But before we go into those slokas, I'll first start with a recitation of sage Veda Vyasa, and then we will go on to the respective slokas. Kala Bhagini can recite after me. Vyasam Vasishta Naptaram
व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं
Shakte Pautramakalmasham
शक्ते पौत्रमकल्मषम्
Parasharatmajam Vande
पराशरात्मजं वन्दे
Shukatatam Taponidhim.
सुकतातं तपोनिधिम्.
So this sloka beautifully says, where we place Vedavyasa. So it speaks about, as I told you, he is the center, right? We connect him to the people who were prior to him and those who came after him. So here we say that Vyasam Vashishta Naptaram Shaktehe Pautram Akalmasham. So Vashishta Naptaram means he is a descendant of Vashishta. So Vashishta, as we all know, was the guru of Lord Bhagwan Rama itself, right? So Vashishta Naptaram, Shaktehe Pautram. So he was the grandson of Shakti. Akalmasham, he had absolutely no defects. He was a complete embodiment of purity. Parasharatmajam Vande. Atmajam is a son. So he was the son of the great sage Parasara. Even today, Parasara Maharishi's works on astronomy, the Hora Shastra, everything is very useful for everybody till date. So Parasharatmajam, Vande, we worship him. Shukathatam, he was the father of Shuka. So he says the lineage continues. He's transferred his knowledge to Shuka, and Shuka Brahma Rishi is the one who gave us the Bhagavata Purana, as we know. So it continues there. So Shuka Tatam, Taponidam. Shuka was himself a Taponidhi. So we can think about Vedavyasa Bhagavan. So that is the sloka. And many of us will be familiar with this sloka because we recite it, very frequently. Right? So the next sloka, Vyasaya Vishnurupaya
व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय
Vyasarupaya Vishnave
व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे
Namo Vai Brahmanidhaye
नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये
Vasishtaya Namo Namaha.
वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः.
This is again a very, very beautiful sloka. Here it says, who is Vyasa? Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya. He is in the form of Vishnu himself. And then it says, Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. Vishnu is in the form of Vyasa, Vyasa is in the form of Vishnu. So basically, one leads to the other. So Vishnu takes the form of Vyasa and Vyasa takes the form of Vishnu. Namo Vai Brahma Nidhe. Nidhe is like, treasure trove. He's the Nidhi, wealth. Namo Vai Brahma Nidhe. So we offer our namaskarams to them. Vashishtaya Namo Namaha. Again, Vashishta's parampara. So we offer our namaskarams to her. So here there is a beautiful explanation that some of the acharyas give. So the explanation is like this. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya. When we say Vishnu Rupa, we say that the preserver or the protector of the entire universe, right? So the explanation that people give is that Vishnu is the protector of the world, And Vyasa has protected this world by giving us the Vedas and the Puranas and the Itihasas in the way we can have it. Only because of that, the entire world is still protected. So he is Vishnu. So in that context, he is the protector of the universe, just like Bhagavan gave the Vedas to protect us. He actually sustained these to protect us. Therefore, Vyasa is Vishnu Rupa. So that is one more explanation that is given. So we will go to one more. These two are actually part of the Sahasranamam recitation. So many of us will be familiar. We recite these before reciting the Sahasranamam. Next one is actually part of the Dhyana Slokam of Bhagavad Gita, because Vedavyasa's role is there both in the Bhagavad Gita and in Sahasranama, which are part of Mahabharata. So this Tanyan is from that. So anybody wants to recite after me?
Yeah, sure.
नमोऽस्तु ते
Namostute
व्यासविशालबुद्धे
Vyasa Vishala Buddhe
पुल्लारविन्दायत
Pullara Vindayata
पत्रनेत्र
Patra Netra
येन त्वया
Yena Tvaya
भारततैलपूर्णः
Bharata Taila Purnaha
प्रज्वालितो
Prajwalito
ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः.
Jnanamaya Pradipaha. Guru, question. I was asked to chant when I was saying this Taila Purnaf Prajwalito. I don't have to do that?
If you're joining it and reciting, yes, you have to do that. When you're splitting it, you don't have to.
Thank you.
It is the sandhi that will happen there. Okay. So here, this is a beautiful sloka, which is part of the dhyana sloka. So this says the explanation about Vyasa, because he has handed over the Bhagavad Gita to us, right? So, oh, Vedavyasa Muni, Buddhi is Vishala. Vishala is like, it is really wide, it is filled with wisdom, because he is not given something for a small sect or a group, or, it is not something for a particular group of people. It is Vishala Buddhi, applicable to everybody in different walks of life across, the globe. So, Vyasa Vishala Buddhehe Pullar Vindayata Patra Netra. And it says about his eyes, which are like wide open, and it's like a petal of lotus which is blooming. Now, think about it. When we are zooming into something, our eyes are wide open, right? So, his eyes are into the details. It does not miss any detail. He's wide eyed that, he takes all the nuances to explain to us, but still it is like a petal of lotus. It is like full of consideration so that all of us understand. So Pullara Vindayata Patra Netra. Aravinda Patra Netra. Okay. Tvaya, so you, Jnanamaya Pradipaha Bharata Tailapurna Prajwalitaha. This is again a very beautiful explanation where it says that if you imagine the Bharatam, the entire Mahabharata, to be a taila, or if it is oil, okay. Now, what has Vedavyasa done is, with his knowledge as the lamp, Prajwalito, he has lighted this entire Mahabharatam and brought it to us. So he is the light of the oil lamp, which is the Mahabharatam. So that is the Vedavyasa. So we offer our salutations to him. So that is this beautiful sloka. Okay. Now, what does Vedavyasa say in all this? He speaks about Lord Krishna. And as all of us know, Krishna is also our Guru. So we will take this opportunity to offer our salutations to Bhagavan Krishna, because In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Shishyaste mam, Shadi mam tvam prapannam, right? So please accept me as your disciple. So that's what Arjuna says. And then Krishna takes the role of Gitacharya. He becomes the Acharya and then teaches Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. And because of that, all of us have the Bhagavad Gita today. And as students of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is our Guru. So Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum is something Sage Adi Shankara wrote. So this is the first sloka of that series which Sage Adi Shankara wrote, where he says, Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum. Okay. So we can recite this sloka once. Sushri Bhagini, you want to follow me? Vasudevasutam Devam
Vasudevasutam Devam
Kamsachanuramardhanam
Kamsachanuramardhanam
Devaki Paramanandam
Devaki Paramanandam
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.
So here, Sage Adi Shankara says he was the son of Vasudeva. But he is the Deva. He is born to Vasudeva, but he is God. So it does not mean that that was the birth, right? He took an avatar as Vasudeva's son. Kamsa Chanura Maddanam. Usually, when two phrases like this are joined together, Kamsa Chanura, we understand it as the duals, the Ahankara, Mamakara, or it could be the Kama, Krodha, the anger, the lust. So Kamsa Chanura Maddanam, he actually destroyed these unwanted negatives of anger, lust, or Ahankara, Mamakara, etc. And what did he do? Devaki Paramanandam. He gave so much of happiness to his mother, because we say that God has all this creation inside him, and now this Devaki was blessed by having him inside her. So Devaki Paramanandam. So that kind of a Krishna, Krishnam Vande, we offer our salutations to him. And who is he? He is the Jagat Guru. He is the universal Guru. So we offer our salutations to Krishna. So with all this as the background for our, Guru Purnima Jayanti, I would like to offer salutations to my acharyas before I go into the Adi Shankara's Guru Ashtakam. Lakshminada Samarambham Nadayamuna Madhyamam Asmadhacharya Padyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. So the Guru Parava starts with Lakshmi Natha, so which is the concert of Lakshmi. The beauty is we identify the god because of the goddess, right? Lakshmi Natha Samarambham. Nada Yamuna Madhyamam. So the Nada Muni, Yamuna Muni are in the middle like the jewels. Asmadacharya Padyantam, the Acharya for us, the Acharya who is helping us understand these. Vande Guru Paramparam. Our salutations goes to every Acharya in this entire lineage. Now, today I was mentioning Natha Yamuna Madhyamam, right? Today is the Yamunacharya's Jayanti as well. Today is Alavandar, as we call it. Today is Alavandar's Jayanti. In one of our earlier Loka Kalyana program, we recited Alavandar's slokas, which we called as the Chatusloki also. So Alavanda is the Acharya of Swami Ramanuja, where he has given us slokas on Mahalakshmi, slokas on Vishnu. He's given us a lot of granthas. So I had explained that earlier. So now I'll just explain this two-liner for want of time. This is his Taniyan. So one of you can recite after me. Raji? Namo Namo Yamunaya
नमो नमो
नमो नमो यामुनाय
नमो नमो या गुणाय
यामुनाय नमो नमः
या गुणाय नमो नमः
नमो नमो यामुनाय
नमो नमो या
यामुनाय
यामुनाय
यामुनाय नमो नमः.
यामुनाय नमो नमः.
So it is Yamunacharya or Alavandar is the name of the Acharya. Okay. So with all this as the background, we are now going to the recitation of today, which is called as the Guru Ashtakam. The 8 slokas which sage Adi Shankara offered in reverence to his Guru, and thereby advising his disciples on how they have to perform. Now, this is such a beautiful but very, very simple, series of songs, the 8 songs. So that's why I thought we could even complete it in one session. So I will recite it and we will see a simple meaning of it. So I don't have to call out the names. Whoever volunteers, just, unmute yourself and recite after me. Okay. Shariram Surupam.
शरीरं स्वरूपं
तथा वा कलत्रं
तथा वा कलत्रं
यशश्चारुचित्रं
यशश्चारुचित्रं
धनं मेरुतुल्यं
धनं मेरुतुल्यं
मनश्चेन्न लग्नं
मनश्चेन्न लग्नं
गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
गुरोः
ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं
तथा किं तथा किं तथा किं तथा किं.
Such a beautiful thing. The last 2 lines is actually the same for all the 8 slokas, but the contextual meaning of it beautifully changes. So here, if you notice, sage Adi Shankara thinks about all what happens around him. Okay, so he speaks about the desire. Now, what all can a person desire? Here, everything is explained from a physical perspective. He says, think about it. A person has a beautiful form, a good body. Shariram is a body. Rupam is a form. Surupam, a really beautiful form. Tathava kalatram. So he's addressing men. So he says, your spouse. So is also as beautiful, also has a beautiful body. Yashascharu chitram dhanam merutulyam. Okay. So he exaggerates it to the ultimate level, what we all can think about. So he speaks about the Meru Parvata. Meru is supposed to be the biggest Parvata, which is explained even in the cosmology, creation, and all that. So he says, think about having money. So the wealth is not just normal wealth, it is to the extent of the Meru Parvata, if you have wealth also. Okay. And he says, Dhanam Meru Tulyam Dhanam, even if it is there. Then he says, Char Chittam. So the Yashaha means fame or the reputation. Is very nice, it's agreeable, it's pleasing. So all these are there. You have the ultimate fame, you have a wife who understands you, who is pleasing, you have a beautiful body, you're handsome, so is your wife, everything, money is there, all what we can think of is there. But then this person does not know about his guru, and his mind does not concentrate on the teachings of the guru. Then what does Adi Shankara says? He says one of the so what, So if you have a beautiful body, we have to read it like this. Shariram Surupam. Okay, so beautiful body and beautiful figure, healthy body. Then he asked the question, Tatat Kim, so what? Shariram Surupam. Etava Kalatram. No, my wife is also beautiful. Tatat Kim, so what? Yashas Charu Chittam. Okay, the Chittam is agreeable, pleasing. Tatat Kim. Dhanam means, no, he's very wealthy. So what? As long as his mind is not, thinking about his guru, what is the purpose of all this? So,
Avina, is it Chitram or Chittam?
Chitram,
That is also mind, is it?
yes. Basically, you speak about Chitram here is agreeable and pleasing. So, whatever he thinks is agreeable to his spouse and things like that, the understanding. So, in the understanding context, you can call it as a mind. Similar thought process, things like that. Okay, so here we have to understand it in different ways where Guroho Angri Padme means the devotion to your Guru. So that is one way of understanding. The other way is Guroho Angri Padme means the following of the footsteps of the Guru. The third is the Guru has taken a particular path or advised a particular path, having that path of the Guru as your way to follow him. So that is the third way to understand it. So Gurur Angri Padme Manaschena Lagna means bringing the Guru's teaching or implementing it in your life. If you do not do that, then what is the purpose of everything that is given to you? Because it gets the whole meaning at that point of time only. Now, the second beautiful meaning of Tatat Kim is like, he says you might have all these things, Sariram, Surupam, Yatava, Kalatam, everything you might have. But then, if, you are doing everything, you feel there is something incomplete in life. Okay, what is the use? Why am I having this? What is the purpose? What is the purpose? Then he says that incomplete feel can be completed only with Guru Sambandha. So Tatat Kim, Tatat Kim. So he gives the answer, so you'll never get complete feeling unless, you abide by what your Guru says. And that's when whatever you have gets a complete picture. So that is another beautiful interpretation of Tatat Kim. And yet another thing is, as we go through these slokas, we will realize that his focus goes to everything, starting from monetary to knowledge to everything. So he is touching the four purusharthas, as we know, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So if you follow the entire dharma as ordained by the scriptures, but still you don't, have reverence to your guru, tatat kim. So that is the first Tatat Kim. Second is Artha. You have all the wealth that you need and the fame that you want, but you don't have reverence to your Guru. Tatat Kim. Then the third thing is Kama. I can get anything done, in this entire universe. I am a globetrotter. I have contacts everywhere. No reverence to the Guru. Tatat Kim. And finally, he says, even if you're an aspirer for moksha and you have renounced everything, he speaks about sannyasis like himself also. You've renounced everything, but still you can't renounce your, reverence to your guru. That is the kind of importance you have to give to your, acharya is Adi Shankarastik. So here, this four Tatat Kim is also in connection to the four Purusharthas or the Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. So this is the overall meaning. I will not go into explaining the Tatat Kim going forward because I have done that now. We have to understand it with respect to the context. We will go on explaining, the other aspects of this. So the second sloka. So the overall meaning of the first sloka will be this. So you might be blessed with a handsome body, beautiful wife, great fame, immense wealth. But then if you do not have your mindset in reverence to your guru, there is no point, right? So what's the point? What's the point? He emphasizes it 4 times. The next sloka, one of you can repeat after me. Kalatram dhanam
Alatram dhanam
putra pautradi sarvam
putra
Pautradi sarvam
griham bandhava
griham bandhava
sarva methadi jatam
sarva methadhijatam
manaschena lagnam
manaschena lagnam
gurorangri padme
gurorangri padme
tatha kim tatha kim tatha kim tatha kim.
tatakim 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 tatakim.
So, in Sanskritam, there is one rule which says you can't use the same words unless there is a unique purpose for it. Otherwise, it is called as a dosha. Punarukti dosha is what we say. You can't repeat the same words that you used earlier at a later time. So, if you notice in the first sloka, Sri Adi Shankara has used Shariram Surupam Etava Kalatram. So the word Kalatram is used there. Now in the second sloka, if you see, he starts with Kalatram, right? In the first sloka, second line, Yashas Charu Chitram Dhanam Merutulyam is what is used. So Dhanam is used there. Here also he says Kalatram Dhanam Putra. So why is, say Adi Shankara repeating this? Is it not a Punarukti dosha? Of course, Adi Shankara is not a person who can have Punarukti dosha. So what is the intention, behind communicating this is, in the first sloka, he speaks about the desire, assuming you have, this beautiful wife with all the wealth that you want and everything. So it is the desire. Now, once the desire is fulfilled, the second sloka speaks about the concept of attachment to whatever we own. Now, you have your wife, Kalatram, you have the Dhanam, then what happens? You form your attachment to the Kalatram and Dharam. So what happens? Putra, Pautra, Ityadi Sarvam. So you have your children, grandchildren, and miscellaneous, and or everything else because of the Kalatram. And then because of done, what happens? You buy all the property that you want. Griham, so you purchase your house, place to stay. Then what happens? Bandavaha. Everybody comes, they are with us. Bandava sarvameta adijatam. So everything actually happens and we start forming so much of attachment to all this. But when will all this become meaningful? Only when we look at the main purpose of life and adhere by what the Guru says. So he says, Manaschena lagnam guru rangri padme tatakim 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 tatakim. So here the beauty is in the dimension in which everything is taken. So in the first context, it is the physical dimension in which say Adi Shankara explains. In the second one, he explains it with respect to the attachment to the Kalatram Putra. So first one is the desire, second one is the attachment and the consequence of attachment. But then if there is no attachment to the Guru, then it is not complete. You don't feel the purpose of any of these things that is there. Our scriptures actually explain 3 attachments, one to the spouse, one to the children, and next to the wealth. All the 3 are brought out in the sloka of Adi Shankara. The first sloka that you see here, the Shariram Surupam, there are many people who would also use the third line as Gurorangri Padme Manaschena Lagnam, which is perfectly fine in case what you're following has it that way. That is also a correct way of pronouncing. And there are many people who think Krishna is their Guru, right? So they also say Hare Rangri Padme, which is also perfectly fine. Okay. So it will go like this. Shariram surupam tatha va kalatram yashascharu chitram dhanam meru tulyam Hare Rangri Padme Manaschina Lagnam Tatakim 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 Tatakim. So that will be another way of reciting the same sloka. So I'll go on to the third one.
Kavita, can you just summarize the meaning just like the first sloka?
Okay. So here the second sloka's meaning would be one may have, um, his wife, wealth, son, grandson, relatives, house, etc. But if his mind is not attached to the guru, then tatakim tatakim. Shadangadi Vedo
Vedo
Mukhe Shastra Vidya
Mukhe
Shastra
Shastra
Vidya
Kavitvadi Gadyam
Kavitvadi Gadyam
Supadyam Karoti
Satyam Karoti
Manaschena Lagnam
Manaschena Lagnam
Gurorangri Padme
Gurangri Padme
Tatakim 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 Tatakim.
Tatakim 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 Tatakim.
So all of us know that Vedavyasa actually grouped the Vedas for our convenience. And I have also done it in one of our Vidyanadis earlier that in order to understand or get exposed to the Vedas, a person has to have the expertise of what we call as the Vedangas. There are 6 Vedangas, right? So it is Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chandas, Jyotisham, Kalpam, and Shiksha Shastram. So all these 6 things are required. Basically, even in English, if you think about it, if you want to read a novel, you can't read a novel if you do not have a basic vocabulary or if you don't have, a basic command over the language or understand some simple grammar. So for a novel, if so many things are required, for us to understand the Vedas, we need, Shiksha, which is how to pronounce. Vyakaranam is, close to grammar. Niruktam is the etymology or the roots from which, certain complicated words come up. Chandas is the prosody. Jyotisham is when to perform which ritual. Kalpa are the rituals. So a lot of things like that has to be understood if we have to understand the Vedas. These are called as the 6 angas of Vedas or Vedanga. Now this sloka says, Shadangadi Vedo. This person is an expert in all these 6 angas, thereby, he has good command over Vedas. So earlier he spoke about a person more from, body, attraction, wealth and all that. Now he is speaking about a knowledgeable person. Shadangadi Vedo, Mukhe Shastra Vidya. When he opens his mouth, all the Shastras just spring out from his mouth, Mukhe Shastra Vidya. And then he says, Kavitvadi Gadyam Supadyam Karoti. So he's a Kavi, he's a poet. So very easily, when he starts saying, the Gadyam and Padyam come out flowing. So he can, speak about all the prose, all the poetry, everything can be created by him. Now, for such a knowledgeable person, Manaschena Lagnam Guru Rangri Padme Tatakim 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 Tatakim. All this knowledge, still, if he does not understand what his Guru is trying to say or abide by the path which is shown by him, what is the point? So, that is what is the explanation of this sloka. So, the overall meaning is the 6 Vedangas are there. So a person might be well versed in the 6 Vedangas. He might be well versed in the length and breadth of the Shastras, where he can quote extensively. And, he might have his poetic literacy, or he could even create a lot of fluent granthas with his prose. But then, how will he have a complete knowledge without the help of his guru? Here we have to understand Tatakim is all the knowledge of this person, according to Sage Adi Shankara, is all external to him. But the internal knowledge can be had only with the help of the guru. So he might know the Shastras, he might know the Vedas, he might know everything outside, but that knowledge is complete if he does not know about himself or the Lord. Right? So that is the context. Now the next sloka, one of you can repeat after me. Videsheshu manya,
विदेशेषु
Videsheshu
मान्या
manya,
swadesheshu dhanyaha,
Swadesheshu danyaha,
sadachara vritteshu,
Sadachara vritteshu,
matto nachanyaha,
Matto nashanyaha,
manaschena lagnam,
Manaschena lagnam,
gurorangri padme,
पुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
tathakim 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 tathakim.
Tathakim, 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 tathakim.
Now, after explaining about a knowledgeable person, he goes on to a globetrotter. Okay, he says, Videsheshu, which means Videsha, foreign countries. Manyaha, he is very well respected. Swadesheshu, in his own country. Danyaha, he is really wealthy. Or he's fortunate, you can say. Sadachara vritteshu. So not only about wealth, he knows all the virtues. He has all the moral conduct. So you are speaking about a person who, is good. He knows what he is doing. He knows what are the moral code of conducts, and he observes whatever he's supposed to do. Sadachara vritteshu mattaha. Nacha anyaha. There is nobody else like him. Okay. But then the only lacking is he does not align himself to the thought of the guru. So, in spite of having all this, it is incomplete. So he says one may be honored in other countries, respected in his own country. He may be virtuous. He may also follow the prescribed duties as per the customs. But all this will not help him to understand himself unless he connects himself to a guru. So basically, whatever is prescribed, when we follow, it gives us a clarity of mind, it cleanses our mind. But it needs the Acharya Sambandha or the Guru Sambandha in order to understand the God. So here I would just like to tell a small little incident. Typically, when we speak of the acharyas, gurus, and our seers, preceptors, there is a question. This is about God and me, right? I have my own way of understanding the God. Do I need a guru, right? Now, this same question was asked to Swami Vivekananda. So one person goes and asks this question: why do I need a guru? Can't I just learn? It's a deal between me and the God, right? Now, Vivekananda said, yeah, what you're asking is a good question. Can you just get me some water? Okay. So this person goes and brings some water. Now think about it. Water is there everywhere. It's there even in the clouds, right? Can we consume the water that is there in the clouds? And then it goes into the pond. Can we use the water from the pond? Then it comes into our well. It's still available right in our house, but is it consumable? Now, the water that this person has brought to Vivekananda was in a glass handed over to him. Now, Swami Vivekananda asked him, I asked you only for water. Why are you bringing me a glass? So this person was like, how can I give you water without a glass? So he said, for water to be used, I don't have to think about glass, but without a glass, you can't give me water. So also, to understand divinity, you need a container, and that container is your guru. Without him, this can't be transferred. So that is the kind of importance given to guru. He is required for us to reach the next level, right? So continuing with the sloka. Shama Mandale
Mandale
Bhupa Bhupala Vrindaihi
Bhupalabhrindaiः
Sada Sevitam
Sada sevitam
Yasya Padaravindam
yasya padaravindam
Manaschena Lagnam
manaschena lagnam
Gurorangri Padme
gururangripadme
Tathakim 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 Tathakim.
tatakim 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 tatakim
I'll do the next one also. Yasho me gatam
yasho me gatam
dikshu dana pratapa
shudana pratapa
jagadvastu sarvam
jagat vastu sarvam
kare yat prasada
करे यत् प्रसादात्
manaschena lagnam
मनश्चेन लग्नं
gurorangri padme
गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
tathakim 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 tathakim.
ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं.
So here, Shama Mandale Bhupa Bhupala Vrindaihi. So here, Adi Shankara goes on to address a different segment where he, goes on to explain about the Bhu Mandala. Kshama Mandala means Mother Earth, because she is the personification of all the patience that is there, right? So Kshama Mandali, this great globe or earth, Bhupa, Bhupati. So he says about the kings or the rulers. So it is not normal people, it is about the Bhupati itself. And now he says, Sada Sevitam. These Bhupatis are serving a person. So what kind of a person should he be? Okay, so the kings are serving a person, are attending to a person. So that kind of a person is there. Yasya Padaravindam. So now the kings are offering all their offerings at the feet of this person. So this person has such a great repute, right? But then, if he is not able to understand, about his guru, this is of no point. In fact, this is also mentioned by many of the other acharyas about kings and the pride that is there, and how we should not get carried away by all the pride that is shown by everybody else. Swami Deshika has authored 5 slokas, which is called as Vairagya Panchakam, in which he's explained about, how he does not really care about the richness that he can get from offering the praise of the kings in the kingdom or anything like that, and how offering his dedication to the divinity or Bhagavan Varadaraja of Kanchipuram is the most important thing for him in his life. So that has been a consistent mindset of a lot of our acharyas. So the meaning of this verse will be that one may be very powerful and even the kings might wait at his feet. But then what is the use of all this if he does not think about the lotus feet of his guru? Okay. Now the next one says, Yeshome gatam dikshu dana pratapa. So think about the fame or the reputation. So that fame, is going into all the dicks, all the directions. It is spreading. Gati, goes. So if I can hear some extra noise, please. Get Shaitada. Because of who, all the fame is spreading in all the directions. Sarvam Jagatsu. All the things in this world are in his hand. So he is basically giving charity everywhere. So some people are very happy to help others. So this person is such a person who's an embodiment of charity. Can you think about Bali Chakravarti, right? So what did he do? Whoever came, he gave everything. Karna, whoever came, he gave everything, right? So they might give charities and gifts in all directions, and they can obtain anything in this world. But then, if they don't align to the thought of the Guru, then all this charity will also make them feel incomplete. Tata Kim, Tata Kim. I'm doing so much of charity, but what is the purpose? What kind of a thought comes to him? So, Tata Kim, what is the big point of all this? So, you have to align your thought to Guru, even if you are a person who is capable of doing all these kind of charities. Now, let's go to the न भोगे न योगे
न भोगे
न
न
भोगे न योगे
न भावाजिराजौ
न भावाजिराजौ
न कान्तामुखे
न
न
कान्तामुखे
कान्तामुखे
नैव वित्तेषु चित्तम्
नैव वित्तेषु चित्तम्
मनश्चेन्न लग्नम्
मनश्चेन्न लग्नम्
गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
तथ किं तथ किं तथ किं तथ किम्
ततः किं ततः किं ततः किं ततः किम्.
Now he goes to altogether different level. Imagine a person says that I'm giving up everything, I don't want anything. And then he says that I'm not going to go into any of these sensory organs because I know the problem because of all this. So I'm not going to get distracted. I'm going to have a lot of vairagyam. Okay. So, and then he says that I'm not even going to get attached to my wife. I'm going to be aloof. I'm not going to get attached to my family members. I'm going to stay aloof. I'm not going to get carried away by my wealth. I have so much of vairagya. So he says all this and he gets completely detached. Okay. Then Sage Adi Shankara says, you can get detached from all this, but not from the feet of your Guru. So if you get detached from all this and also from your Guru, then there is no point. Okay. So you have to have detachment in all this, but you should still adore the feet of your Guru and go by his orders. Only then everything becomes meaningful. Okay. So that is what this sloka says. Na bhoge na yoge na vajirajau na kantamukhe naiva vitteshu chittam. So the overall meaning of this will be that, so a person now claims that he has no detachment, or he has got detachment, he has no attachment. He's not attached to wealth, he's not attached to his wife or the family members, not to the horses, not to the king. He's not going to enjoy any of the sensual pleasures, but still his mind is not attached to the feet of his Guru. What's the point of all this, right? Aranyena va
अरण्येन वा
स्वस्य गेहेन कार्ये
स्वस्य गृहेण कार्ये
न देहे मनो वर्तते मे
न देहे मनो वर्तते मे
त्वनर्धे
त्वनर्ध्ये
मनश्चेन्न लग्नं
मनश्चेन्न लग्नं
गुरोरङ्घ्रिपद्मे
Gururang Dvipadme.
Tatha kim, tatha kim, tatha kim, tatha kim.
Tata kim, tata kim, tata kim, tata kim.
Now, here he says that the mind, um, irrespective of the location we are in, so he goes on to explaining Aranye, living in the forest, Swasya Gehe, being in his own house. Gehe here is Griham, being in his own house. Na Karye, indulging or not indulging, na Karye, not indulging in the activities. Na Dehe, on the bodily things. Anarge, um, priceless things. Arge, anarge, priceless things. So, what he's communicating here is my mind is not attached to forest. Usually when people want to give up everything, they want to be only in the forest. So, my mind is not attached to the forest. Oh, this house, this is where I have lived. This is everything to me. My mind is not attached to the house. To the body. Body is one thing which nobody can say, deny, right? Our first attachment is our body, how we look, how we feel. We always want to look young, though it is impossible, right? So, to our own body and to the wealth, basically, any such attachment to anything that we have can be categorized under wealth. So I don't have any of these attachment. So irrespective of the location or your own body or your own wealth, you say that you don't have any attachment to any of these. Even then, unless there is attachment to the feet of your guru, all these are no use. So he basically negates even the little bit of gap that was there in any of the things that he had mentioned so far. Okay, so he very clearly says that going to the forest means nothing. And even if you think about your own body is not important, which is the ultimate interest that people have, even that means nothing. Now, after excluding everything, saying that irrespective of who you are, please follow the footsteps of the Acharya Parampara, right? Now, after saying that, he concludes the Guru Ashtakam. These 8 slokas are now coming to a conclusion where he says, Gurorashtakam,
Gurorashtakam.
Yah Patet Punyadehi,
Patet Punya Dehi.
Yatir Bhupatir,
Yatir Bhupatir.
Brahmachari Chagehi,
Brahmachari Chagehi.
Labed Dvanchitartam,
Labhe Dvachitartam.
Pade Brahma Sanyam,
Padam Brahma Sanyam.
Gurorukta Vakye,
Gururuttavakye.
Mano Yasya Lagnam,
Manasya Lagnam.
Gurorukta Vakye,
Gururuttavakye.
Mano Yasya Lagnam.
Manoyasya Lagnam.
So the beautiful Phalastuti of this entire 8 slokas is mentioned here, where Sri Adi Shankara says, Guru Ashtakam. Ashtakam means the 8 slokas, the 8 verses which are compiled here. So this composition, Punya Dehi. So Punya is the merits of our deeds, right? So for the one who's done the Punya merits, when he reads this, then he can be anybody. This is not specific to a sannyasa or anybody. He says that Yatihi, Yatihi means a sannyasi, Bhupatihi means a king, Brahmachari is a student, So he includes even a Brahmachari in this. So a student who's studying under a teacher, or he can be a Gehi. Gehi means Grihastha. So one who's living a life of a householder. So he will get labet, he will acquire. What will he acquire? Vanchitatam, whatever they desire. Brahma Samyam Padam. It can be even the ultimate abode of the moksham, because Gurur Ukta Vakye, their mind will now start adhering to the path that is shown by the gurus. Gurur Ukta Vakye, the words of the guru, Manaha, their mind will now start, Lagnam, getting attached to the words of the guru, thereby even the Brahma Samyam Padam, the place of, Brahma Samyam or the moksha can be got by the person who adheres to the path of the guru. So anything that they desire can be got by them. So anyone whose mind dwells on the teachings of his guru, he can be a king, and as a sage, student, or a householder. So the one who reads these verses regularly, because of the Guru's anugraha, his wishes will be fulfilled in this world, and he will also attain the moksha ananda by adhering to the words of his Guru. So this is the Palastuti that is mentioned by sage Adi Shankara in this entire couplet. So today being the Vyasa Jayanti, he is the guru of all the gurus. So we have to remember Bhagavan Veda Vyasa to this day, and the great things that he has given us in his scriptures. So there are so many things that is mentioned by sage Veda Vyasa in Brahma Sutra, which all the Vedantins have given explanation to. In fact, to belong to a big school of thought, one of the qualification is that Acharya should have done a Brahma Sutra Vyakya. So if they have explained the Brahma Sutra, then okay, you are, a person of that merit. That is the way they qualify. So these Brahma Sutras, or the performance, which is a summary of the Upanishads, were given to us by sage Veda Vyasa. So Bhagavad Ramanuja, sage Adi Shankara, Madhvacharya, everybody have written commentaries elaborating the Brahma Sutra. Then the Mahabharata, then the Puranas, then compiling the Vedas, everything, right? There is this beautiful poem which says that from all the 18 Puranas, if I have to derive the message and then just give it in 2 lines, this is what I understand. And that 2 lines, I would like to conclude with that thought here. So that 2 lines basically says that Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachanadvayam. From all the 18 Puranas, Vyasa's Vachanas are 2 things. What are the 2 things? Paropakaraya Punyaya Papaya Parapidanam. Paropakaram, helping others. Punyaya, that leads to Punyam. Papaya, what is Papam? What does that mean? Parapidanam, giving trouble to others is, Papa. So here it is not just physical. Mano, Vak, Kayam. So by the mind, by our words, and by our deeds. Okay. So our punya can be thought, words, deeds. So is papa by thoughts, words, deeds. So we can't, hurt others even in our thoughts, nor in our words, not by our deeds. So this is the essence that I can understand from the 18 Puranas, is what the sloka says. I will just say the sloka once, you can repeat after me. Ashtadasha Puraneshu
अष्टादशपुराणेषु
Vyasasya Vachanadvayam
Vyasasya Vachanadvayam
Paropakaraya Punyaya
Paropakaraya Punyaya
Papaya Parapidanam.
Papaya Parapidanam.
Okay. So that is basically the essence, according to the sloka that Veda Vyasa Bhagavan has given us. And in the sloka of sage Adi Shankara, we understand how much of reverence we have to give to our ancestors who shared selflessly so much of knowledge to us. And the bare minimum I thought was to remember them on this auspicious day, So that is very, very important that all of us do this. I'm now going to recite this 8 slokas, no repetition, nothing. I'm just going to repeat it so that we can record it. I will be sharing that in our group after this, so that anytime you want, I have already given you all the material, you can recite it at your own pace. Okay. So you can still
Ravina,
recite
can you
it.
also recite along with the Guru Ashtakam the last 2 lines that
Okay, I'll do
that
that.
Vyasadvayam?
Okay, so I will record it. I will stop the recording for a minute now and then record it as a separate thing so that it becomes shareable and you all can use it. You all already have the material, so it will be easy to use.